Welcome to the City Club of Eugene's June 14th, 2024 program, Constructing a Brighter Future. My name is Andrew Kallick, and I am City Club's president. We're coming to you from our home at the 5th Street Market in the heart of downtown Eugene, and it's my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to our speakers and to all of you joining us here in person, online, and over the radio. For 3 decades, the City Club of Eugene has remained dedicated to its founding mission to build community vision through open inquiry. In accordance with our mission and purpose, we hope to help connect people throughout our community and across identities, generations, experiences, and perspectives. You are invited this week and every week to join us in this effort, to share your wisdom, to learn something new, and to take active steps to make a difference in this city and region that we love. Of course, we cannot do this work alone, so a special thank you to our Platinum, Community, and Diamond sponsors. The Eugene Area Chamber of Commerce, serving as a catalytic leader in creating a vibrant and diverse economy that drives economic opportunity and well-being. Kaiser Permanente, which exists to provide high-quality, affordable healthcare services and to improve the health of our members and the communities we serve. More information at www.kp.org. The University of Oregon has helped Oregonians question critically, think logically, reason effectively, communicate clearly, act creatively, and live ethically since 1876. More information at uoregon.edu. Lane Community College transforms lives through learning. LCC provides comprehensive, accessible, high-quality educational opportunities that promote student success. For more information, visit lanecc.edu. And thank you to the City of Eugene and Lane County for their support as well. Whether you're joining us for the first time or you're a longtime listener, I invite you to support our work by becoming an individual member, a business or community sponsor, or by volunteering to be part of a committee. You can do all those things and more at cityclubofueugene.org. With that, I'll turn the mic over to Mary Layton, the coordinator of today's program. Mary.
Thanks, Andrew. For years, Lane Workforce Partnership has collaborated with City Club and other community groups to offer industry for educators, a course designed to show teachers the broad array of opportunities for students to participate in the economic life of the community. Reading, writing, critical thinking, and teamwork are not just for school. They are useful in other areas of real life, too, and our local economy offers opportunities for young people to invest every kind of talent. This year, on January 17th, course participants met with Pivot Architecture and Miley Construction. We heard about collaborative projects in which local high school students were building tiny homes for programs intended to support the efforts of homeless people to find safe and sustainable housing. John Stapleton at Pivot used a term that sparked my interest: community impact. In an era where COVID, among other factors, has done serious damage to school attendance rate, knowing your attendance contributes to solving the problem of homelessness might make all the difference in choosing to attend. Later in the winter, I learned of more elaborate plans hatched by Lane Workforce Partnership and others to launch a growing array of projects across the state. The new name is Team Oregon Build. The goal of these projects is to address the need for housing and the need for meaningful engagement in school and to embed more learning and collaborations with community agencies and experts. Today we will hear about the network of such projects. Don't get me wrong. As a career educator, I believe in the usefulness, not to mention the beauty, of the whole gamut of curricular offerings in public education. The content of the curriculum represents our best thinking about what a person needs to know and be able to do to participate meaningfully in community life. Music, philosophy, art, they all matter. But the learning you will hear about today has an immediate effect on students' understanding of how an individual effort can contribute to community wellness. I want to dedicate this program to my late husband, Frank Sobel. Frank had a doctorate from Stanford, a law degree from Catholic University, and 30 years' experience converting federal policies into effective education programs. But in our large, extended, might I say, Irish family, he was most famous and beloved for his skill in carpentry, electrical systems, and plumbing. Nobody ever asked him about federal policy in education. They all had a checklist of things to do when he visited. The young people who participate in the career and technical ed programs you hear today may go on to have careers in many areas, but the skills they learn in Team Oregon Build will serve them and their families for a lifetime. Team Oregon Build is a workforce initiative that introduces young people to multiple career pathways in high-wage, high-demand construction trades work and provides them with hands-on, work-based learning opportunities to demonstrate and refine these new skills for possible future employment, either in the workforce or like by their families. It provides training to career and technical educators from all over Lane County districts to construct finished single-room shelters. Once trained, CTE teachers lead their students in the construction process, providing them with hands-on education, training, and work-based learning opportunities that help them develop valuable employment skills, credentials, credits, and certifications. We'll hear first from Jesse Quinn, the Community Engagement Director at Lane Workforce Partnership. Prior to joining Lane Workforce Partnership, he served as the Director of Annual Giving and United Way, and his other leadership roles have included serving as Development Manager of HIV Alliance and advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion at the University of Oregon. He graduated from the University of Oregon School of Planning, Public Policy, and Management with a master's in nonprofit management. Gabe Pievich began the work of Everyone Village in the summer of 2020. He built a robust network of partnerships, including government agencies, faith-based organizations, and private businesses that continues to grow the community's response to homelessness. Prior to founding Everyone Village, he worked for a short time helping Square One Villages manages their transitional shelter microsites. Before that, he spent 15 years as a logger. Gabe graduated from Bushnell University with a bachelor's degree in pastoral ministry. And finally, Waylon Neas is a career and technical education teacher in Eugene School District 4J. He oversees the group of students participating in Future Build and projects at Lane Community College's Building 12 location. He's been a member of this team since it began. He has a bachelor's degree in business from the University of Oregon and has worked as a general contractor. We're going to start with Jesse, who will lead us in the foundation, Constructing a Brighter Future, the original, and then how it evolved and now has much more funding and a much broader state presence.
We've launched this program, and within 12 weeks, it has grown rapidly. So we'll start a little bit with a quick introduction. We've got 3 speakers today. We have Waylon, as Mary mentioned, from Eugene 4J School District, which is a CTE educator. We have Gabe Pievich, the Executive Director of Everyone Village, and of course myself, Jesse Quinn with Lane Workforce Partnership, the local workforce development board. So how did we get here? That's a good question for the team. So this began with the 2020 Holiday Farm fires. With the 2020 Holiday partnered with a number of nonprofits, such as Square One Village and Everyone Village, to complete action. As we were sharing our successes, we started gathering some attention, and statewide partners saw value in this model of student enterprise addressing community needs, which leads us to our most recent expansion. And I am going to play a video which is hot off the press. You get the debut of Team Oregon Build. What Team Oregon Build is a collaborative process. It involves Lane Education Service District, to address community issues locally.
This collective impact model really has been a game changer here, and now, as we know, it needs to spread because all communities in Oregon are struggling with homelessness and housing, and all communities have amazing high schools and amazing middle schools full of students who want a relevant experience to help their community and learn great job skills.
So far what I've seen from our students is hard work, engagement. They're all willing to want to learn the next stage, the next step.
So this is a great opportunity for them to get a big project and get some hands-on learning and make those connections with our community partners.
I think what we've seen from the students is initiative, and I'm really hope that they're able to go home to mom and dad and say, hey, I built a shed today. I built some tables, and now I know how to swing a hammer and read a measuring tape, and that's the thing that we want for this next generation.
They kind of showed us basically how to build a tiny home. That's not something a lot of people could do in high school.
I want my students to be able to know about giving back, and we can do things here in the shop and as a volunteer out in the community. Swinging the hammer is just a piece of it. It's the customer service piece, it's the delivering what you say you're going to deliver, showing up and completing something on a schedule to meet somebody's needs is huge.
I've always wanted to be in construction, so learning these types of skills will help me later in life, especially since me personally, I want to build my own home.
It makes me feel proud. It's like a pride, a sense of pride. You just adore it. You feel like it's gonna do something good in life, and it just makes you feel happy knowing it's gonna be there for a while.
So these students are the future workforce that the trades have been looking for. We have an immense shortage within construction industries, and the 3,800 students who are participating are building portfolios that make them the ideal candidate for gaining employment post-graduation.
It's been amazing to be a part of Team Oregon build these planter boxes, and just be a part of the community.
It builds more community around this area, and we really need that right now. And also, it also helps people in 8th grade can start already committing to the community more before they're in high school.
My favorite part's probably assembling the boxes right back here. It's like, you know, you get to be more hands-on. It's not just cutting the lumber.
So my goal is for them to be ready when they walk into high school wood shop, to be able to build something and to say that, hey, I made this for this group of people that are in need, or to contribute to the community. That just allows them to, you know, think outside of themselves and into the greater community.
It's my home. It's a small home, but it's my home, and I could never be more grateful. They probably get a lot out of it in many ways. I mean, they're building their skills to flourish in their life, and then to be able to come in here and see the change that they make in a person's life.
And we're really hoping that our politicians, our elected officials can see the value of these 3,800 students participating in the construction trades and make the investment necessary to continue that beyond statewide coalition.
And as we expand Team Oregon Build across the state and across the Northwest and across the country, we are going to begin seeing more fly-throughs of beautiful locations that once were down and out, full of life, and intermixed families of students and community partners and clients receiving services and stories of hope and flourishing coming from places we never thought possible, only because together we're lifting it all at once.
So I get goosebumps every time I see that video. And to think that this program is rolled out in 12 weeks. We're looking ahead to the future. I was telling Mary just this morning that the numbers in the video are already obsolete. We have over 4,800 students now participating in the program across 44 unique schools in 11 counties across the state. For this to begin, a little over, let's say 4 years ago with a holiday farm fire to where we are today is truly incredible. Now with Team Oregon Build, let's talk about some of the logistics. So instructors wanting to participate in the program are able to select from a number of kits available. These kits are made available at no cost to the instructor, and the coordinating school districts are helping provide professional development for instructors participating. Instructors can select from an 8x16 insulated shelter, also known as a transitional housing unit. They can select an 8x16 storage shed to expand the capacity of these schools. Some of our more rural partners have shared with us that they just don't have the shop space to store materials. So the shed is helping them grow in unique ways. We also have an 8x8 storage shed and a number of cottage accessories for instructors to select from. This could be the flower bench boxes, the picnic tables, or even Adirondack chairs. But we're seeing this program grow beyond high school environments. We now have middle schoolers participating. How cool is that? So, through funding received from the Oregon Department of Education, we are supporting 3 unique regions. Now, you may recognize this outline of the state. Earlier, we were talking about the 2020 holiday farm fires. These are some of the regions that were most impacted by those wildfires. So we have Mid-Willamette Education Consortium. We also have, Southern Oregon Education Service District, as well as Lane Education Service District. And as of recently, we've expanded beyond these 3 partners to include individuals in Lakeview, Pendleton, Hillsborough, Corvallis, and fairly soon, Central Oregon. So this is a quick overview of the dashboard. This is how I start my day every morning. I get to see where we are in terms of our order requests and deliveries, as well as individuals participating. So in this graphic, you can see that we have 160 orders received, 4,810 estimated students participating, 21 requests for mentorships from instructors. So here we can build a connection with our industry partners, have them come into classrooms, and help provide lessons to both the teachers and students alike. We can also see a breakdown of the order requests by types, with the transitional housing unit and 8x16 storage shed as the most popular requests being submitted. And through our newly launched website, Team Oregon Build through Career Connected Learning, you can see an interactive site map that will tell you exactly what schools are participating and what orders are being built. So, leaning back into workforce development, why is Lane Workforce Partnership involved in this work? And it's really looking at our construction trades and recognizing that there is a shortage or deficit of entry-level workers entering the field. Currently, we have about a 7% shortage in construction trades as a whole for a statewide view, which equates to over 4,000 individuals. Now, when I think of these 4,800 students gaining hands-on experience within construction trades, I think there's a high likelihood that they'll be entering this career post-graduation. There are also high-wage positions as entry-level starts. We're seeing $23.50 as an average wage for an entry-level construction laborer. And then for construction labor entry positions, we have over 18,000 across the state. So in addition to the workforce needs, we also have a housing challenge as a state. Here in the state of Oregon, we have a shortage of 140,000 houses available. This is a lot of vacancies. And we forecast another 444,000 in terms of future housing shortages. So our annual production goal as a state is looking at 36,000 new builds, and we're currently only making 20. So Team Oregon Build, it truly takes a village. Thinking of all of the partners involved in this work, we are looking at statewide agencies from Oregon Housing and Community Services, Oregon Department of Education, we have Oregon Workforce Investment, the Workforce Talent and Development Board, the Higher Education Coordinating Commission, and then we're working with school districts around career technical education. The list goes on. It's a big list. And the most important part of it is thinking of the benefits to students participating. So it is my honor to turn it over to an instructor with 4J School District. We're going to have Waylon come up here and tell us a little bit about his classroom experience and some of the benefits the students receive.
Thank you, Jesse. So when Jesse and Mary reached out to me and asked if I would be willing to come talk about my program and what we're doing here in 4J, I was very excited. I spent 15 years in industry as a journey level carpenter for Neil Kelly Company and as a general contractor. And during that time, when I thought of education, I just thought of education as its own silo. Like education is doing its own thing in education, and versus me being out there in the real world, doing this in the real world. So I was really excited to have this opportunity to come and talk to you about what our students are doing in the real world and share that and the relevance that this project has brought. When I started at, so this is my 5th year in education. I started 3 years ago at Crestwell High School, wonderful rural school, I loved it. The curriculum that was there when I arrived for the woods and construction programs I was teaching were breadboards, birdhouses, building dog houses, chicken coops. Super fun projects, great things, kids were learning skills, but it wasn't relevant. They weren't doing stuff in the real world. And one of the reasons I love working with high schoolers and teenagers is they want to do relevant projects. They want to have impact in the real world. And that's watching the evolution of this project and how that has changed how I teach my classes and how it impacts the students has been amazing. And also a big part of it, I come from the era when the high school woodshop programs, industrial arts programs were gutted. Everyone in my era was told you have to go to college to be successful, and frankly, it's not true. It led to a lot of young people with a lot of debt and degrees they didn't use. Which made it hard for them to get into home ownership. It also led to a type of education that didn't work for a lot of our students. There are plenty of students that can go into school and get the sit and get, where they can go sit, listen to teachers talk, do theoretical math, language arts, things like that, and they can do that and they can grind through that and be successful. But there's a huge, huge group of students that need to move. They need to do hands-on projects. That's what engages them. That's what makes them want to go to school, actually graduate and stay there. And as we get into the higher grades, that's where we lose a lot of those students that are had to do that traditional path. So it's been so neat in the 5 years that I've come in to see this transition, to see this wave of importance towards industrial education and the trades. And there's a huge, huge need for it, as Mary mentioned earlier, as Jesse was talking about. The first 2 Junes as a teacher, my old project manager from Neil Kelly would call me and be like, is there anyone you can recommend? And just to start out as an apprentice, because they are just struggling to find any skilled workers. Also, there's a huge lack of builders and general contractors now from all of those just the years that I was talking about. So there is a huge, huge need. So basically, what Team Oregon Build and Constructing a Brighter Future has brought is just an unbelievably engaging curriculum to my courses. So we're still teaching similar skills that I was teaching before: hands-on education, career prep, work-based learning. Or I would say the work-based learning wasn't quite the same. with this project, our students are now doing stuff that matters. They're helping create housing for this huge issue that we all see, that they all see, that, you know, typically they're just hearing adults complain about and not really doing anything about. Now they're out there helping, they're making a difference. And I can just see it, I can see it in my students, how more engaged they are in school. When we've gone out to Gabe's site to see where they're helping these people get back on their feet, like the feeling that we have when we get back from that is just unbelievable. It's palpable, and you just see it in the students' eyes. It's amazing. So what I'd like to talk about specifically, though, is the program that we have started in 4J. It is called Future Build, and basically what happened with 4J is, once again, a lot of the industrial arts programs were removed from the schools, and there was one school that still really had a robust program. That was North Eugene High School. They still had their metals program and their woods program. However, there's these students at Churchill, Sheldon, South, Echo Alternative School that didn't have access to these. And once again, there's so many of these students that need these type of classes, this type of education to be successful. So 4J decided to create this robust construction CTE program called Future Build, which encompasses students from all 4 of the high schools, and like I said, Echo as well. Students spend half of their schedule with us. So right now, we've been located at LCC. They spend half their schedule at their home school, and then they're bused with us. We have them for the entire year. And it also is a 2-year program, so some of these students are with us for 2 years, practicing these skills, learning these amazing technical skills, construction skills, but a huge, huge emphasis on professionalism and employability skills. As Mary said, not all of our students are going to go into the trades, and that's fine. What they're learning is super valuable. Like any of you that have owned a home, just having that, or when you've had to pay someone to do it for you, you know how expensive that can be, but also just the feeling when you can repair something on your own. But more importantly, those professional skills, we want them to be ready for any career they go into, and so that's a huge, huge part of our program. So through Team Organ Build, we've been able to get our students out in the community, working alongside community partners like Square One Village, Everyone Village, doing projects that matter. This has ended up bringing a bunch of industry wanting to come and help us. So our students are working with real industry professionals. One of the things, besides the Team Organ Build projects that we were working on, the transitional houses, the sheds, we have also done a couple of our own capstone projects through 4J. Last year, we built a traditional low-income house alongside Miley Construction. Our students were out there working alongside, professional project managers, carpenters, learning siding, framing, working alongside plumbers and electricians. So it's just real. And once again, it's just, you can see the change in engagement of our students, how excited they are. Like when I hear some of my students talk about, this is so much better than school, and then one of their peers like, this is school. It's such an amazing feeling, and that is the goal. The other part of it is, the other capstone project this year is actually we've built a more traditional tiny home that a lot of us think of, a tiny home on a trailer on wheels, and that's the next evolution. So the transitional houses obviously aren't meant to be permanent. It's helped to get people to transition out, get on their feet, and then get more traditional housing. So the tiny home we're building this year is actually an attempt to start making an affordable housing model. So those that are able to transition out are able to start getting some equity and either use that to get a traditional home or just once again change their financial position in a huge way. So some of the other cool things, once again, my point is like the skills that our students are learning are amazing. The projects we do are fun. They are able to get credentials, OSHA 10 credentials, first aid, CPR, college credits through LCC, all those amazing professional technical skills. But the largest thing is the relevance and the community impact work is what is engaging the students. There are some students that want to be there. They know they're going to be in the trades. They want to earn these certifications. But there's so many students that are not going into the trades at all, but they love the program because they love the hands-on work. They love the fact that what they are doing matters. And it's really, really exciting to be watching that change and be a part of it and just see where education is heading. With that, I'd like to hand it off over to Gabe to talk about Everyone Village.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, good day, good Friday. It's excellent to be here with you all, also in Radio Land. I can't see you, but I'm excited to be with you as well. We're going to talk about Everyone Village, which is a primary community partner in this beautiful TOB story going statewide. But before we do that, Jesse, for those in the room, you go to the community impact slide. Let's talk about that just a minute before I tell you the Everyone Village story. So, per the intrigue that got Mary to bring this program to City Club, this idea of community impact is a big deal, and it really is the meat and bones of TOB. So much work done on this space by amazing leaders like Pivot Architecture and others that we are just joining into now. There's a long story to build to something beautiful like this. But what they figured out over time was this is the critical equation to the outcome you're experiencing with TOB today. You've got to have this sweet mix of community partner, education, industry, and then agency being a backbone backstop for that awesome team. And when all these factors come together, you get this community impact solution space, which today we're experiencing it through the Team Oregon Build edition of it. The most powerful part of this way to do things in a community is that it can really effectively attack and work on any crisis or problem a community would ever have. So the big win here might not be just Team Oregon Build. It would be that our local community is now really engaging in partnership in this particular style and way, which sets us up well, like I just said, whatever the next thing is for us 10, 15, 20 years from now, we're going to be very ready for that, and we're going to have a big time success at pushing back against the struggles we have as communities with this now infusing into our community approach to a problem or crisis. And think about the winning edge we now have because we're engaging middle schoolers and high schoolers in this team model. Community impact led by those youth. So to Waylon's point, I grew up in an era where this wasn't a thing. We didn't engage the community in my high school, not like this at all. So these students have a huge edge on our set of leadership in this room and out in Radio Land. When we hand the mantle to these young students, and they're the leaders of these Oregon communities, they're going to have been engaged in it from their youth. They're going to have been meaningful contributors to the solution from a young age. And I would imagine, and I have full belief, that they're going to push the dial so much farther forward for Oregon than we could have ever imagined. And it's all because we're using a program and an approach like this. So if we go back to that beautiful picture, Jesse, for those not here, there's a picture on the wall here in the room of myself and local high school, Crow High School, out at Everyone Village. And what is Everyone Village? Well, let me tell you a little bit about it. It's a beautiful place out in West Eugene that is a beautiful blend and expression of that community impact model. So 4 acres of land being used as an emergency shelter for folks experiencing homelessness in our community. And it was started by a combination of private business, nonprofit, that would be myself and my team, and faith-based community support and agency backbone. And all of a sudden, things start to come together. When folks arrive at Everyone Village, they are first given a cottage or a tiny home unit now being built by Team Oregon Build. So we no longer have to worry about that part of our programming. We just can count on our local high school partners showing up huge for us and delivering us these beautifully hand-built units that we use to shelter people first, and then alongside that reality of now being safe in a Team Oregon Build tiny home, they are receiving services from all of our nonprofit provider partners that come to the village and work together with us in that community impact style to bring folks all the tools they need to reach flourishing once more and again. And they are now part of something bigger than themselves, which is huge to human flourishing. I would like to do an informal straw poll really quick in the room and out in Radio Land. Just raise your hand wherever you're at. Raise your hand if you know someone, have been yourself, are at risk of experiencing some kind of unsheltered reality, or it's in your neighborhood, or it's touching your life somehow. So out there, I will tell you that most every hand in this room is raised. So let's just be honest. The housing and homeless crisis is touching virtually every Oregonian now. When schools and classrooms here in Lane County sign up for Team Oregon Build, one of the first things they do is they come out to Everyone Village just like Waylon's classes did. And they walk around and they get to meet the folks that they're going to be helping. And then that relevancy piece really comes into action, because what that community impact model did in its early days was it unearthed that reality.
for a human to be passionate about, engaged in, and wanting to sacrifice for a solution to a problem that maybe isn't their primary problem, it has to be relevant, i.e., the wisdom of Waylon and his experiences in classrooms and all the words and comments I hear from these students when they come to the village. If you show me something relevant, you got my attention, and I'm going to plug in, and I'm going to give you my beautiful, awesome gifts that I have as part of the solution. If it's disconnected from relevancy, I might not engage, and we have found the way to do that. So as they come through and they talk, I always ask that same question. Hey students, hey teachers, in your class today, have you been touched by homeless crisis? Do you think it could affect you someday? Is it a big deal in your neighborhood? And the same result, almost everybody in that room, all the students raise their hand. It affects them in a big way. And so they get to now be a part of pushing back against that problem with their very own hands, minds, and hearts, as the slide Jesse showed earlier really illustrates. Now, what does that do for a community partner? Because we're about to see here real quick, I'm going to show you how all of this loops in and layers on itself in a way that secures our success in a sense we've never seen before. So we'll start with the obvious. All those construction trade shortages, all those ready workers not in our fields. Well, guess what? If they're not there, we can't build the amount of housing that we need to build, as Jesse's slide showed us. So we're solving the problem from inside itself in a really powerful way. Another way that works out is this nonprofit provider space. So Everyone Village is a nonprofit. We work with the city, the county, and the state to support our folks in our communities experiencing homelessness to get back on their feet. This is a hard space to do well in. There's not a lot of funding in that space, there's not a lot of support, and it's very challenging work. When we started Everyone Village 2.5 years ago, that was the space we were in. We saw the problem, we had some gifts to offer as a solution. Private businesses joined us and offered us land and resource to get started, but we quickly found ourselves in over our heads in the deep end of a huge problem that's layered and complex as housing and homelessness is. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this wacky team of community impact leaders showed up and said, hey, we see you, we see you're trying to help, maybe we could help you and you could help us. And we got kind of drawn into the community, the Team Oregon build model, which was constructing a brighter future at the time. And that instantly infused our program from staff to client and everyone in between with a few things. Hey, we're not alone. We're now part of a bigger team. We've got some friends that care for us, know we're here, and are supporting us. Hey, we actually could help out with what they're doing, and so now we're finding meaningful ways to contribute as an organization, not just in what we do day to day, but what we could do for our broader community while we do the sheltering day to day. And then, hey, here's now an opportunity to lead, and not just for our staff or our organization. The very folks we're serving and offering services to now have a way to immediately begin giving back to the community that's giving to them. That flips everything on the head in a life. And when someone says, man, you're telling me a high school class cares enough about me to build this beautiful house and let me have it as I bring my life back to flourishing and stand on my own 2 feet again, I didn't think I was worth that. Certainly living on the street, I really learned in a powerful way at that time I wasn't worth that. But these people are telling me otherwise. And now I believe in myself more, so now I fight more for my own journey and my own story. And now I have something that I live in that actually means something to someone else, and I want to fight for that too. It's a really powerful loop system that keeps feeding itself to great success and outcomes. So the nonprofit provider, which across our state and all of our Oregon communities is sitting in kind of in a linchpin position of, this is where the crisis and the rubber meets the road, right? Is at the sheltering site where the person leaves the street, starts accessing services, and now has to, and we hope will take the helps to move on up to stand again as a strong Oregonian, flourishing once more and giving back to their communities. It's a critical space, and the community impact model and Team Oregon Build are infusing health into that space. Team Oregon Build and the community impact model are infusing health into our high school trade classrooms. Team Oregon Build and Community Impact is infusing health in our industry partners because now they're engaging with the youth and their future workforce. And the story goes on with the ultimate outcome being the very communities we call home are being infused with health because of this community impact model and Team Oregon Build as an example of it. And to conclude all of that awesomeness, I'd like to share with you a very powerful experience that Team Oregon Build provided for myself and a few others. This class came that day, and this picture here was taken after they had walked around and met and saw, and now we're fully awares of this big relevant experience they are a part of and excited to engage as now part of the solution team here in our community. And while I was walking around the village showing the students all that we had going on there and the units that had already arrived from other high schools, I noticed that one of the students hung back with one of the clients, villagers, we call them at Everyone Village, of course, as the group moved on to the next thing. And I just let that go and happen. And finally that student caught back up, and we find ourselves at the place where this picture is taken in front of the village. They're about to get back on the bus. I'm a big high-fiver. And I said, well, thanks for coming today. Before you all get back to school, I'd like a high five from each of you as you get on the bus. So they line up. First kid comes in, big old high five. All right. Next kid, one of those awkward moments. I go in for the high five and my hand's going up, and all of a sudden I quickly realize, oh, the other hand's not coming. Uh-oh. And down goes my hand, and we have that awkward moment. And inside I'm quickly thinking, well, that kid's just not going to be comfortable with a high. Before I could think the second part of that word in my head, that kid came in and snarfled me up in the biggest bear hug you ever got in your life. And as I'm hugging that kid, or that kid's hugging me, I whispered in that kid's ear, hey, I'm proud of you, go build us a badass cottage. And they said, I got you. And then every kid in that line of students came in, snarfled me up, gave me a big bear hug, and I said, now go build a great cottage for this community. Someone really needs that. And they got on the bus and went back to their high school to start building, and they finished it, and it's already at the village, and I can tell you that the human that lives inside of that is doing remarkably better now that they're in that cottage these students built. And I asked that villager, I went back out and I said, hey, what the heck did you say to that kid? Got me a big old bear hug, I'm not complaining, but what happened? And that villager said, well, Gabe, that student hung back and asked me a couple questions, and pretty soon shared with me that his older brother is homeless right now. And he wished his brother was in this community so his brother could be here at Everyone Village in a place like this. And he was excited, that student, villager told me, to now be able to go build a cottage for someone like his brother. And we made that connection, Gabe, and we had some personal things in common. And I said, well, that's really cool. I'm grateful that you took the time with that student. And the villager said, oh, and there's more. There's a little more. I didn't think so, Gabe, when I woke up this morning. But after that, I kind of want to know about that program you told me about the other day. I think I do want to fight a little harder for my life. I think I do want to pick myself up a little. I do want to accept that help a little more. I do want to believe in myself that I'm worth the hard work ahead of me, because I know the students working hard for me too. I'm part of a team now, Gabe. And that is going to change our neighborhood. Our neighborhood's going to change this community, and this community is going to help change Oregon. And I contest to you today, who is best suited to lead Oregonians out of the challenges we face? I would say Oregonians. So, learn more, ask questions, engage. There's going to be information on this website, etc., where you can connect with Team Oregon Build and Everyone Village. Come on out, see, engage, become a part of this community impact model, so that we can heal this community along with all the other communities in our great state, and we can see a brighter day and a brighter future together. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. We'll begin question and answer with our panelists in just a moment, but first I'd like to thank the business and in-kind sponsors whose support helps to make City Club possible. Thank you to our gold sponsors, the Network Charter School, Hirschner Hunter LLC, Evans Elder Brown and Subert, Hudson Dental, and Luvis Cobb. Thank you also to our in-kind sponsors, KRVM 91.9 Radio, Alpha IT, Dotson's Photography, and Kid Sports. Also a special thank you to our award-winning public radio station, KLCC FM 89.7, for airing City Club programs Monday nights at 7 p.m. For those listening at home or in the car right now, your household is one of several thousand tuning into City Club on KLCC, and we love that you are here. You can find out all recent City Club programs archived on KLCC, as well as on our YouTube channel and as podcasts. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back to City Club and our program on Team Oregon Build. Question and answer starts with Joel.
Joel Corrin, City Club member for about 12 years. First, thank you for coming and introducing us to this wonderful program. My question is, you talked about business, you talked about industry and education. I didn't hear any conversation about construction trade unions. Are they cooperating with this program? Are they taking your students in for apprentice programs? What's the relationship of the unions?
Yes, that's a great question. Thank you. So I try, myself and my co-teachers, we really want to give students as much exposure as possible to multiple, facets of things and let them choose for themselves. So we will bring contractors that are both union and non-union into our classes and talk about the pros and cons of each. And I just feel like rather than trying to lead them a certain way, it's important for them to see what's going to work best for them. But yes, to answer your question, yes, we are able to build relationships and lead them both into union and non-union apprenticeships.
Is there an active construction union activity here?
I was actually part of the Carpenters Union. Okay. I will receive a $300 pension from them when I retire.
Congratulations.
So
every little bit helps.
Yes, hey, I'll take it. And so they were happy to come in and speak to our class, talk about that, come out and see the projects that we're working on. We also use some of the curriculum that we use is based on the exact same curriculum that the Carpenters Apprentices are using up in Portland. But then we also have a local company, Chambers Construction, who is a private company. They have their own apprenticeship. One of my students this morning came up to me and bright big smile. I just had an interview with Mark at Chambers yesterday, and we had a few other students that interviewed a couple weeks ago. So we have support from both sides. Obviously, they can be very strong-headed in their opinions, but for us, it's trying to give our students an unbiased view of each side and let what works best for them happen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If I could actually follow up. So in addition to these students receiving their OSHA training certification, they also have the option to participate in the pre-apprenticeship in the construction trades BOLI pre-apprenticeship. And so it's a choice that the students can make, but we're partnering with our local JATC in order to have that relationship in place. And the Association of General Contractors has been working with Team Oregon Build as well. And so they've been participating in our professional development for instructors. And recently we're just in Southern Oregon as a part of our Build Day.
Thank you very much.
One quick thing I'll add to that, and industry does place a lot of value on that pre-apprenticeship. In fact, Mark, who I was mentioning from Chambers Construction, called me after one of our students interviewed a couple weeks ago and was asking, has he completely finished this, because I want to move him to the top of my list for apprentices to hire, and part of that is him actually having finished that. So there is a lot of real value, once again, in the real world with that certification.
Roz?
Okay. I'm Roz Stein. I'm a City Club member. I'm getting down to specifics. Okay. What's in this tiny house? Or what do they look? Do they have electricity? Do they have running water? What does it really look like? That's what I was curious.
Great question, and I can't wait to tell you how awesome it looks. So, particulars and dynamics. The unit is 8 feet by 16 feet. It is standard height of a regular room, just like the one we're in. It is built just like a house with housing materials and housing building techniques, and it will last as long as a house will if you take care of it. When you go in, it has a full-size house entry door. It has 2 windows. When you go inside, it's just a room, of course, but it's drywall and trim and lights in the ceiling. There's a porch light on the exterior by the door. Plug-ins for folks to plug various things in, of course, and charging phones, etc. And then on the exterior of the back of the building, a cord comes out, not to be funny, much like a toaster, and plugs into a 110 outlet, because with LED fixtures, there's not a lot of draw on that, and so it doesn't take much to power the unit. It has no plumbing, so these have to land at places like Everyone Village where we have plumbing and kitchen features for folks. But of course, as Jesse mentioned, we're hot on the next step, which would include full service tiny homes that have plumbing inside of them, but the ones we're talking about now do not. And folks can make them their own. Once they drop at Everyone Village and are set up, we build a tiny little porch on the front of it, so folks have a little entry porch to set a chair on and sit and enjoy the outside, or to stay dry as they enter their home.
It's for single occupancy.
Yep, we single occupancy. At Everyone Village, we have one married couple that shares one because a larger bed will fit in it. What we provide furniture-wise, once it arrives at the village for someone to move into off of the street, we provide a twin bed with a twin bed mattress and frame, a desk and a dresser. And then the client is allowed to access resources from our community impact partnership team, like St. Vincent de Paul or Goodwill, often helps our folks with getting some free basic goods for their homes, like bedding and et cetera, et cetera.
One thing I want to add that Gabe had mentioned when we were visiting his site that really like set off a light bulb in my head is a big thing about them are that they have their own space with a locking door. So these people coming off the streets constantly feeling unsafe, like how are you, I mean, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, how are you going to do anything when you're constantly in fear? And when he mentioned that, it's such a simple thing, but it's such a psychological impact for those people, for them to feel safe so they can start making improvements. And when Gabe said that, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. So.
Hello, my name is Alex Daniel, and I've been building tiny houses for the homeless for about 10 years now. And Gabe actually has a couple of the ones that I built for Opportunity Village. Now I'm building them for churches, and I have one at Episcopal Church of the Resurrection, just finished one at St. Matthew's Episcopal Church, and now doing one for the Unitarian Universalist Church. And the biggest issue has been insurance. And if you're not part of the car camper program, you don't have that umbrella policy. So it's much more difficult to get the churches to accept the idea. But the Episcopal Diocese put pressure on the Vermont Insurance Corporation, which insures all the Episcopal churches in North America, to create a new rider policy. And that sort of a policy would be something that would be really useful to try to expand this program in church parking lots. And I don't know if there's anything you guys know about how that could be done, or the kind of underwriters that might be involved in that if St. Vincent de Paul's car camper program is not, you know, part of the church.
So you raise an excellent question, idea, thought, awesomeness thing. So yes, what we seek now is what is next, right? So we're building the units. They're landing at places like Everyone Village, and now they're landing at other Everyone Villages across the state. But one thing we're at a dearth of is actual places to set up housing and sheltering, all of it, right? That's where we're at now. We're about to experience an influx of trade-ready employees coming out of programs like Wayland's, and companies eager to hire them and ready to build for us as Oregonians. We need a lot of new building to happen, but where? So the church idea is not a new one, and I'm glad you brought it up. We're in partnership with churches across Lane County having these conversations right now. It's widely perceived, accurate or not, close enough I would assume, one of the largest landowners in Lane County is the collective church at large. If all the churches brought their land together, it'd be a massive amount of real estate. So how do we create safe, appropriate partnerships with churches so they can begin taking themselves down the road of how do we utilize our property in a way that really serves our community in a healthy and awesome way, and certainly setting up places like little mini shelters or even little permanent villages on church property is something we are working on. Obviously, at the end of the day, with a lot of these awesome, huge programs, it comes down to lawyer land and attorney land. If they're not cool, you ain't doing it. And we're working on that. So we're putting pressure because it is something that we think we can develop and work out through a collective impact model of we're not going to ask the church to take on that liability. That's not realistic. So what entity in our community can step up and say, is it Everyone Village? Do we get the rider and coverage that applies to that church so that we can get as many Oregonians sharing three things: their hearts and minds combined as thinkers and solution idea folks, their resources, including their land, and then their efforts to be part of the team. So we're on it. Great question.
This is an academic question. So do the students like take exams? Are they graded? That sort of thing?
So once again, that's a great question. So, and that's also the part of the shift from the traditional way of just thinking of school, where it's like, we're going to give you a bunch of knowledge, then there's going to be a quiz. So yeah, some of that's always going to be part of it. Just the basics when you're learning the vocabulary of different construction techniques or materials, just the verbiage that you need to know to go in the trades. However, the big shift that we're trying to make is it's called proficiency-based grading. So it's more like an assessment, like if you're looking at a wall, like at the end of the day, how do you grade a wall? Well, a wall needs to be square, right? When you install it, it needs to be plumb and level. But then there's a certain area of craftsmanship, right? You don't want a bunch of nails sticking out or big gaps between your framing. So it's become more as you do this part of the project, then we look at it, we give you feedback. Obviously, before that, we've talked about kind of what the expectations are. They get to see it, the rubric, what they're assessed on. But it's more, we want to know what you know, not that you're really good at memorizing these vocabulary words or these concepts, but that you can actually now go do it. So that's the important part of it. So that's really the shift that we're making, which is challenging because, you know, I grew up in traditional school, as did my co-teachers. But we see that this is a lot more honest way to assess the students on these type of projects and this type of learning.
So do they get A, B, C's, things like that?
So yeah, so there's still, I mean, that's still the construct of, you know, education is part of it. And, you know, we have very animated conversations and arguments about that because it's hard to make huge changes like that. And lots of, like, again, traditionally, there's so much value on these grades, this GPA. And so once again, it's really trying to shift education. And that's also what's so exciting about these programs, not just construction. We have the program I'm in, it's called CalC, the Center for Applied Learning and Community Impact. They're making comprehensive programs for graphic design, for early childhood education, health occupations, and then ideally we'll keep growing those because, it's just so valuable.
Having flashbacks to my grades in wood shop. They were not pretty. They were not pretty. Kurt, we have time for one quick question to end.
Okay. Kurt Yider, and thank you for being here. I love hearing win-win, win-win-win type projects. It was mentioned that the supplies came free to the schools, the materials. Can you please talk more about the money? There must be costs along the way, aside from the insurance.
Oh, this feels like a test. Okay, so looking at each of the kits, they have their own costs associated with the material builds. So the 8x16 is roughly $4,300. The 8x16 without insulation is $2,700. The 8x8 shed is coming in around $1,700. And then the cottage accessories, we've rounded up to about $1,500 per package. So in those package of accessories, they can choose from a variety of the chairs, tables, and flower benches, or they can choose a single item. So it gives the instructors some flexibility, but instructors are invited to apply through an initial order form. That allows us to collect contact information, delivery information, and the order being requested. Now, we are also providing each unique school with $500 worth of free equipment from a menu of options that have been pre-selected. So these instructors could get a chop saw, they could get a roof nailer, they could get, sanders. So the instructor chooses a variety of items equaling that $500 max. Now, with our relationship with Lowe's, we are getting an incredible deal on these materials. So Lowe's partnered with Lane Education Service District through Constructing a Brighter Future. We're pro members within the organization, and we get just incredible benefits as well as reduced rates. So when we went out to competitive bid, it was amazing the prices we saw from Lowe's compared to some of their rivals. And so we're like, okay, we're going with Lowe's. They also have a national footprint. The communities that we're serving have a Lowe's in their backyard, and Lowe's is offering to do the delivery straight to the schools themselves. So that's been a huge part of it.
Real quick, final answer coming, but on Lowe's, when we courted Lowe's as a potential partner for kits to schools across Lane County. Initially, it just so happened the day we made the appointment, the regional Lowe's rep was in town, was in Eugene. So he joined the local Lowe's rep we had scheduled with to come to the village and meet our team. And he cried his way through the village because, once again, his brother is currently homeless. And so that community connection, that relational center point, really also connected us with Lowe's, and that was we have that rep to thank for pushing through the top layers of Lowe's to say what Jesse's just shared. We're going to be treated really, really well by Lowe's. And then the funding for all these kits is currently being provided by
the Oregon Department of Education through ESSER 3 funding. So that's Elementary Secondary School Emergency Relief. And this is to support learning loss associated with the pandemic. But yeah, we're really grateful to Lowe's, incredible partnership, and yeah, we're excited to see it continue.
Thank you all so much. Please join me in thanking our panel. This has been our June 14th conversation at the City Club of Eugene. This Sunday, June 16th, is Stories from the Unhoused. This is a performance featuring the narratives of unhoused people in Eugene, an event that aims to humanize interviewees and inform the public of hardships and barriers that accompany life without a permanent residence. That's 2 p.m. Sunday at the Park Blocks. In honor of Juneteenth, we will not be meeting next week, June 21st, but we'll be back in 2 weeks' time on June 28th here at the Maple Room for the first of 2 programs on the shortage of primary care in Oregon. This one focusing on what happened to Oregon Medical Group and what is happening in the state legislature as a result. Some thank yous this week. Thank you to Sierra Dalton, one of our interns from the University of Oregon. She's finishing up her internship with us, done a great job, so many thanks, Sierra. And there's many other things to appreciate this week. So have a festive, Flag Day today. I've got my socks on. I don't know about you. Have a fun Father's Day. Have a glorious graduation. Have a jubilant Juneteenth, and have a special solstice. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.